My mom's pressuring me to marry a guy I can't stand to save our family from debt. His creepy persistence and her guilt trips push me to the edge, so I explode and walk out, leaving everything hanging. Hey everyone, my name's Chloe. I'm 26 years old, and I'm stuck in a total mess right now. I've been lurking on Reddit for a while, but this is my first time posting because I seriously need some outside perspective. My mom's been pushing me to marry this guy I absolutely can't stand, all because of money, and it's tearing my life apart. I don't even know where to start, but I guess I'll just dive in and lay it all out. So, here's the backstory. I grew up in a pretty average family, nothing fancy. Dad's a mechanic who's been running his little shop for as long as I can remember, and Mom works part-time as a receptionist at a dentist's office. We were never rich, but we got by, bills paid, food on the table, that kind of thing. I've got an older brother who's 30 now, but he moved across the country years ago and barely checks in, so it's mostly been me dealing with Mom and Dad lately. Mom's always been obsessed with keeping up appearances. She's the type who'd rather we look good to the neighbors than actually feel good ourselves, always nagging about how the house looks or what people might think. Dad's the opposite, quiet and laid back, just nodding along to whatever Mom says to keep the peace. I moved out at 21 after getting a job as a graphic designer, and I've been living in a small apartment about 30 minutes from my parents' place ever since. Life was decent. Work, friends, my own space. Until about 6 months ago when everything started spiraling. It all kicked off with a phone call from Mom. She was sobbing, saying Dad's shop was tanking. Fewer customers, higher rent, supply costs going through the roof. She said they were behind on bills and the bank was breathing down their necks. I felt awful hearing her like that. I mean, they're my parents, right? So I offered to help out a bit. I started sending them a couple $100 whenever I could scrape it together, even though my own budget's pretty tight. Rent's not cheap, and I've got student loans I'm still chipping away at. At first, Mom seemed grateful, but then she started dropping these weird hints about a family friend who could fix everything. That's when Samuel entered the picture. Samuel's 32, works in some high-up finance job. I don't know the specifics because I zone out every time he brags about it. He's got this slick, polished vibe, like he's always trying to sell you something. The first time I met him was at this super awkward dinner at my parents' house. Mom had invited me over, claiming it was just a family thing. But when I walked in, there's Samuel, sitting at the table with this smug grin. He's tall, dresses like he's ready for a magazine shoot, and has this fake charm that makes my skin crawl. Like, he'll compliment you, but it feels rehearsed, you know? That night, he kept making these cringe comments about how I'd make a great wife someday, or how I've got a bright future with the right guy. Mom was eating it up, giggling like he was some stand-up comedian, while I just sat there picking at my food, wishing I could bolt. Dad barely said a word, just kept his head down, which is pretty standard for him. After that dinner, Mom went full steam ahead with her plan. She started calling me constantly, every other day, sometimes twice in a row, pushing Samuel like he was the answer to all our problems. He's such a catch, Chloe. You'd be set for life with him, she'd say. Or he's got money, honey, and we need that right now. I found out through her endless rants that Samuel's loaded. Something about family money and a cushy job. Apparently, Mom had decided that if I married him, he'd magically bail them out of their financial hole. I told her flat out I wasn't interested. Samuel gave me the creeps, and I'm not about to marry someone I don't even like, let alone love, just to play family piggy bank. But she wouldn't drop it, not even a little. Here's where it gets messy with all these sub-conflicts piling up. First off, Mom's guilt-tripping game is next level. She's always been good at twisting things, but this was a whole new beast. She'd hit me with lines like, after everything we've done for you, you can't even help us out? Or, your dad's working himself to death, and you're just sitting there selfishly. One time, she called me crying about how they might lose the house if I didn't step up, saying the mortgage was overdue and they were drowning in debt. I'd hang up feeling like absolute trash, wondering if I was a terrible daughter for not caving. I love my parents, even if Mom drives me nuts. They raised me, gave me a decent childhood, but this felt like they were asking me to sell my soul. Then there's Samuel himself, who turned into a walking nightmare. After that first dinner, he got my number, probably from Mom, and started texting me. At first, it was casual stuff like, hey, how's your day going? but it didn't take long for him to ramp it up. He'd send these long, rambling messages about how we're perfect for each other and how he could take care of me. I'd barely respond. Short, "I'm busy" texts to keep him at arm's length, but he didn't get the memo. One night, he showed up at my apartment out of nowhere with a bouquet of flowers, saying Mom gave him my address because he wanted to surprise me. I was livid. Like, who just shows up uninvited like that? I opened the door, saw him standing there with that creepy grin, and told him to leave. He tried to play it off, saying, "I just thought you'd like the gesture, but I wasn't having it." He finally left, but not before giving me this smug, "You'll come around" look that made me want to scream. I called Mom right after and ripped into her for giving out my address. She just brushed it off with, "He's trying to be sweet. Chloe, don't be so dramatic." Work's been another sub-conflict eating at me. My job's stressful enough without all this family drama. I've got deadlines stacking up, a boss who thinks urgent is the only setting, and clients who change their minds every 5 minutes. I'm barely keeping my head above water, and the last thing I need is my phone buzzing with Mom's sob stories or Samuel's weird flirty texts. I started dreading every notification to the point where I'd leave my phone on silent just to get through the day. I even thought about blocking their numbers, but then I'd spiral into guilt. What if Dad actually needed me? What if something happened and I wasn't there? It's this constant back and forth in my brain, and I'm running on fumes. The real breaking point came last week. Mom invited me over for dinner again, swearing it was just us this time. I should have known better, but I went anyway, hoping maybe she'd finally heard me out. Big mistake. I walk in, and there's Samuel, sitting at the table like he owns the place. Mom had set me up again, and I could feel my blood boiling the second I saw him. We made it through the salad course before she started her spiel. How Samuel's so generous, and how he'd help the family if I'd just give him a chance. I tried to stay calm, but then Samuel chimed in with, "I think we'd make a great team, Chloe," and I lost it. I stood up, told Mom I wasn't some pawn she could trade for cash, and turned to Samuel and said he could shove his money where the sun doesn't shine. Then I grabbed my bag and stormed out, leaving them both sitting there stunned. Since then, it's been radio silence from Mom. She texted me the next day, saying I'd embarrassed her in front of Samuel and that I'm ruining the family by being so stubborn. Dad called too, but he didn't take a side, just sounded exhausted, like always. "Try to see her side, kiddo," he said, which is his way of staying neutral. Samuel, of course, couldn't resist sending me a novel-length message about how I hurt his feelings, but he's still willing to give me a chance. I didn't bother replying. Why feed the troll, right? I keep replaying that night in my head, wondering if I went too far. I know I snapped, but I'd been bottling it up for months. The guilt's still there, though. Mom's not wrong about Dad's shop. It's struggling bad. I've seen how tired he looks, how he's aged in the last year. The bags under his eyes, the way he slumps in his chair when he thinks no one's watching. It kills me. But marrying Samuel? That's not the fix. I can't imagine a life with him. Waking up to that fake smile every day, pretending I'm happy while Mom brags to her friends about her successful daughter. I'd rather claw my eyes out. Growing up, I used to idolize Mom. She wasn't perfect, but she had her moments, baking cookies with me on weekends, telling me I could be anything I wanted. Now it's like she's a different person, only seeing me as a means to an end. I keep thinking about how this isn't even new behavior. She's always been weird about money, borrowing from relatives and never paying them back, freaking out if I wore hand-me-downs to school, because what would people think? One Christmas when I was 10, she made Dad return this art set I'd begged for. Nothing fancy, just some pencils and paper, because she wanted to buy a bigger TV to show off. I cried for days, and she told me I was ungrateful. Maybe I should have seen this whole Samuel thing coming from a mile away. My friends are split on this too, which isn't helping. I vented to my best friend, Tara, and she's all in my corner. "Your mom's being a total a-hole, Chloe," she said. "You don't owe her your whole life just because she's in a bind." But then I talked to my coworker Jess, who's super tight with her own parents, and she was more like, "Maybe hear your mom out. Family's worth sacrificing for sometimes." It's got me second-guessing everything. Am I being selfish? Or am I just trying to protect myself? I've been trying to distract myself, scrolling Reddit late at night, binge-watching trashy shows, anything to shut my brain off. But it's always there, this heavy feeling I can't shake. I keep imagining the what-ifs. If I gave in, I'd be miserable with Samuel, probably popping antidepressants just to get through the day, while mom pats herself on the back. If I don't, maybe my parents lose the house, and I'm the jerk who could have saved them but didn't. Neither feels like a win. I could keep sending them money, but it's a drop in the bucket compared to what they need, and I'm scared they'll just keep leaning on me harder. Cutting them off completely feels too extreme, like I'd be torching my whole family over this one fight. I just want my life back, you know? No pressure, no creepy suitors, no guilt trips. Is that too much to ask? So that's where I'm at, typing this at 2 in the morning because sleep's not happening. I'm hoping someone out there can weigh in. Am I being unreasonable for saying no to this marriage idea? Am I the one screwing up here? Thanks for sticking with me through this rant. It's a lot, I know.
Thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the story. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss our daily updates.